Appreciate it. Thank you. The chair recognizes himself for 5 minutes for questioning. And again, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you. The GAO recently found that both of the commercial crew contractors are likely to be delayed into 2018 and 2019. Under normal contracting mechanisms, there would be a penalty associated with not meeting schedules. My understanding is that under these contracts, the penalty is simply not receiving payment until the work is completed. GAO also recently found that the SLS and Orion programs would also face schedule delays. Conversely, under those contracts, my understanding is that the contractors could face the loss of award fees. Can you explain which model provides the government the best tools to procure a system or service in the most timely and least costly manner?
Yes, sir. Great question. We have, you know, both groups continue to make great progress, and we've got when we did the commercial crew program, we tried a new acquisition strategy approach with fixed price contracts, where when they slip, we do simply just pay when they make their milestones. We have had success with both processes. If you look at TDRS, which we fly today, it was a fixed price contract as well. And what we do internally in the agency is we make an assessment from an acquisition perspective, which way is the best way for us, depending on the amount of development. If it's a lot of development, we feel like cost plus is the way to go because we may not have the perfect requirements nailed down. We felt pretty confident in our requirements when we went to the commercial crew guys, and we felt we could go fixed price. So that's really how we assess it. We have what's called an acquisition strategy process that allows us to make an assessment which way we're going to go as we move forward. So that's how we did this one, and we think both are options that we should always consider when we do these.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And then regarding science, the decadal process plays a significant role in how NASA prioritizes and how Congress funds scientific missions. This budget proposes cancellation of several Earth science missions that were never recommended by the decadal process, specifically PACE, OCO3, RBI, and Discover, EPIC, NISTAR, and NISTAR instruments. With the next Earth Science Decadal Survey forthcoming, the request also rightly proposes cancellation of the Clario Pathfinder. Clario could potentially cost in excess of $5 billion, and it is in the earliest stages of development. Decisions about the mission would be well served by more information from the community. All of this begs the question, why were we funding missions that were not prioritized by the decadal process?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we have always looked at the decadal process as our guiding principle from that perspective. But there's other things we can do outside of the decadals. When we got the budget for this year, for the 2018 budget, we went back to our principles of decadals, and we said, we used a kind of a three-tier process. We said, what's in the decadals? What are gives us the best science value for return for what we're doing, and then how are they performing? So some of the issues like RBI, we were having some performance issues associated with that. And so that's how we came up with the list of the ones that we proposed coming back to you guys for the FY18 budget.
Okay, and Mars is often referred to as a horizon goal for human space exploration. However, if we are careless in our planning, Mars exploration could become unsustainable, perhaps even a dead end. So how would the Deep Space Gateway make exploration of Mars more sustainable and help NASA to achieve its mission of extending human presence throughout the solar system?
We believe that what we need is an infrastructure throughout from low Earth orbit to get to Mars. We're going to need some infrastructure along the way. And the Gateway concept, which is just a concept at this point, actually provides us kind of a stepping stone approach, and we figured that's the better way to do it. If you go from you take it one step at a time, we think we can actually get there in a more efficient way. It also gives an opportunity for public-private partnerships to come into play, and we think there's a good mix that we can do. And if you do it in this stepping stone way, you're not committing to the final answer at first. You're doing it in a pretty measured way that I think is consistent with the budgets that we have.
And one last question. The administration has expressed interest in public-private partnerships. When used appropriately, funded Space Act agreements are a useful tool to advance partnerships. NASA's current policy limits the use of funded Space Act agreements to cases where contracts, grants, and cooperative research and development agreements cannot achieve agency objectives. This ensures that there is proper oversight of the use of funded Space Act agreements. Does NASA intend to keep this policy in place?
Yes, sir. We think we use the entire suite of tools we have for acquisition, and I think we'll keep that policy in place.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I'd like to recognize the ranking member of our subcommittee, Mr. Barrow.
Thank you, Mr.